That was a 6-1 win against Whitlock with a 96.5 average. Cullen has left himself on 95 though, and Anderson bounces out of the metal around the 25, and it means he's not on a checkout. So Cullen can do what he likes, and double 8 is what he likes, and double 8 is there, and superb stuff from Joe Cullen. Nice little 15 darter to kick things off and hold his throw. It is still first to 6 in these quarter-final stages.
91.
But it is first to 7 in the semis. Only one of these two can make it. Got decent record against Gary Anderson. Not many people have got winning records against the Flying Scotsman, but Cullen has won 4 out of the 10 games they've played. But the one that will really, really hurt was the World Match Play. Oh, Gary only taking 2 of his darts back. He will need all 3. The World Match Play.
100.
Quarterfinals. Not last summer, the summer before. Gary Anderson hit a 9 darter. Had to survive match darts from Joe Cullen before winning it in extra legs 19-17, then went on to claim the title. 180 from the Flying Scotsman, leaves himself 135. Needs a 180. Cullen gets it. And Joe Cullen has come to play today. Or at least now. Treble 15 for double top. Oh, about that. 180, 135 out. World class. And Gary Anderson has just been playing like this all day.
48.
We saw Anderson in his opening game see off Christian Bunter with that 107.5 average. It's still his best of the day, but 6-3 whenever Price with 104, 6-2 whenever Rob Cross with 106. I mean, everybody's having an absolute mare getting their darts out of the board.
$60. $61.
Joe Cullen, a very strange year last year where his Pro Tour form wasn't very good, and yet he had one magical weekend on the European Tour, picked up his first Euro Tour title. Something that he should have done long before then, to be honest. He made so many quarterfinals and semi-finals, and he's been one of the best players on the European Tour for the last 4 or 5 years. But just when you were a bit concerned that it may never happen, it did. But he's quite a difficult player to predict, is Joe Cullen. I thought he looked decent at the Masters, despite going out in round 1, losing 10-7 to Peter Wright. Of course, Peter Wright went on to win the title. It was Gary Anderson who was beaten by Wright in the semi-finals there.
60.
So Gary Anderson, we've had all sorts of fun and games getting darts out the board. That one has seen a flight come out of the stem, and I think it's disappeared over the top of the Giganti booth. So he's had to go and get a spare one. Double 12.
Game shot.
And double 12 is there. Gary Anderson breaks the throw. 81 check out on double 12.
$55.
Round the board, but not able to find what he needs.
100.
Joe Cullen coming into this game, 93 of the 127 other players in this tournament have averaged more than Joe Cullen for the day, and yet he finds himself in the final 8. Not about averages this game, is it? It's about beating what's in front of you, and Joe Cullen has done that pretty convincingly for most of today. But almost certainly he'll have to raise his game to beat what's in front of him in this quarter-final. Speaking of raising his game,
97.
Peter Wright, the world champion, is 3-1 down to Canada's Jeff Smith. As both players look at the 170 checkout, Gary Anderson is not going to get close.
83.
Joe Cullen may get closer. Oh, he gets very close indeed. Misses the bullseye. Anderson did not put a massive dent in that big fish. 20 segment. Bullseye.
Game shot.
Cullen missed it. Anderson pins it. 3-1 to the Flying Scotsman. And that little passage of play there, where the Rockstar missed the ball and the Flying Scotsman pinned it, it could prove to be the difference come the end of this match.
100.
First time they've played each other for more than a year, these two. Last year, Gary obviously wasn't playing much Pro Tour stuff because he was injured for a big chunk of it. And Joe wasn't really doing anything in the big TV tournaments, not of note, not like he was the year before.
120.
So they just did not cross paths.
95.
Cullen will have another look at the 170, although questionable whether he'll need to go for it.
140.
The question is answered by Gary Anderson. You will, son. You will have to have a go at it, but that purse of the lips tells you that he's not going to take it out.
66.
In fact, he doesn't get below 100. Treble 19 for double 12. For the 141. And it's exactly the same outcome as when he went for 141 in his opening game of the day. Missed double 12 for the 9-darter against Christian Bunser. Well, Cullen
88.
leaves himself double 8, but it doesn't matter because Gary Anderson is just flowing. It is impressive. The average is just under a ton. It's actually just under a ton for Joe Cullen. It's his best performance statistically of the day, and yet he finds himself 4-1 down, whereas his previous games he's only lost 7 legs today until this point. But Gary Anderson just looks too strong for him. He looks too strong for everybody at the minute, Gary Anderson. Adrian Lewis or Steve Beaton awaits the winner of this one, and it looks like it might well be Adrian Lewis. It could be a repeat of the World Final from a few years ago, when Adrian, of course, beat Gary Anderson, hit a 9-darter, and became world champion. It's a 170 checkout again that has been left for the 4th time in this match between the two players.
57.
Cullen is not on a finish. Anderson doesn't need to go for it, but I'd have been interested to see if he would have done.
98. $136.
This game rattles along, but it's rattling along in Gary Anderson's favour at the moment. Will anything change? Double 12 again. Double 12 slammed into the very centre of that double. 14-darter, 5-1. Gary Anderson, 101 average.
58.
Irresistible from the Flying Scotsman. 3 months to get back to where he needs to be. That's what he was talking about on Thursday night. It's nonsense. He only needs a couple of days.
140.
Oh.
180.
What a player. An absolute powerhouse in this sport, Gary Anderson.
65.
Knocks off an extra 5 by using the bull to leave a finish that does not require the bullseye. Bullseye for Cullen, though. Well, he's missed the bull for a 170 and a 167, and unfortunately for Joe Cullen, Gary Anderson has been playing so well that those finishers need to go. Oh, not quite. Doesn't get a match start in this visit.
46.
That's not what he was after. Double 16.
3.
Is that the end for Joe Cullen? With the way he's played today, I think a quarter-final run, he'll be secretly quite happy with it.
50.
But it's not over just yet. Match start missed by the Flying Scotsman at double top. Oh, he doesn't like it. He's not happy with the lie.
Game shot.
But he manages to make up for it with a move across the oche and firing it past that first dart into a corner of the double 16.
68. Sorry, 88. $140.
Gary Anderson one leg away. F. Smith, the world champion Peter Wright, is on the wrong end of a bit of a toweling from the silencer at the moment.
33.
Gary Anderson, I'm pretty sure it won't. But he will leave himself tops. Better player from start to finish. He has been the best player here today. He is into the semi-finals, and it looks like it'll be Gary Anderson versus the Flying Scotsman. Gary Anderson is through. Over on the other side.